Hello, my fashion friends. Welcome to Retro Hair Revival, where vintage styles inspire today's trends. We're going deep into the world of vintage hairstyles. We'll take a delightful journey through time, exploring iconic hairstyles from the roaring 1920s to the grunge-filled 1990s. From flapper bobs to Kamala Harris's version of the Rachel, we'll see how these classic looks have left their mark on contemporary styles. So, sit back, relax, and let's dive into the world of vintage hairdos and their modern day revivals. Hello, my fashion loves. Welcome to my channel. My name is Adrienne Kieser, and I am your over 50s fashion diva. Here on my channel, we talk about fashion, of course, but also beauty, lifestyle, travel, and anything trending in social media on any of those topics. Now, my fashion loves, get ready to laugh, learn, and maybe find your next hairstyle inspiration. First up, the bob cut, a hairstyle that screams sophistication and rebellion all at once. Originating in the 1920s, this chic look was the epitome of the flapper era. Imagine women dancing the Charleston with their sleek, straight bobs swaying to the rhythm. Fast forward to today, and you'll see the bob cut making a fierce comeback on runways and red carpets. It's like the bob never left, right? Funny how history has a way of repeating itself, especially in the world of hair fashion. The bob cut has evolved over the decades, adapting to the trends of each era. Remember how fierce Rihanna looked in her debut hit, Umbrella? Thinking about it still gives me goosebumps. From the silver screen, think Jodie Foster, to the runway, like Bella Hadid and Halle Bieber, and all over the streets. The bob cut has always been a symbol of boldness and high style. Today, the bob is embraced by women of all ages and backgrounds, proving its timeless appeal. In 2024, America Ferrara and Lily Collins make it look so effortlessly chic. Whether sleek and asymmetric or textured and tousled, the bob cut continues to inspire creativity and individuality. So, here's to the bob cut, a true classic that never goes out of style. Let's move on to the glamorous finger waves of the 1930s. These waves were all about elegance and sophistication, often seen on Hollywood starlets of the time. Picture the likes of Jean Harlow and Josephine Baker, their hair perfectly sculpted into those smooth, glossy waves. Finger waves have been reimagined for the modern era, adding a touch of vintage charm to contemporary looks. Remember Missy Elliott's video for I Can't Stand the Rain? That look was iconic. Or the rapper Eve, rocking platinum waves back in the day. Yes! With so many badass babes like Cardi B and Saweetie rocking them, you better believe this hairstyle will be trending for many decades to come. Now let's not forget the silver screen hotties that made finger waves a thing in 2024. I mean, remember how incredibly Zendaya slayed the sleek hairstyle on all the carpets during award season? I mean, this year's 2024 Met Gala had finger waves for days on the carpet. If you choose to rock this complex look, throw on some dope jazz when getting dressed so you can feel the old Hollywood glamour coming back to life. Now, let's talk about the iconic victory rolls of the 1940s. This hairstyle was more than just a fashion statement, it was a symbol of victory and resilience. Whenever we watch films and TV shows set in the 1940s, we're instantly enamored by victory rolls. These perfectly coiffed hairstyles were often covered by bandanas and started cropping up around World War II. The do is rumored to have gotten its name from the victory maneuver of fighter planes during that era. As men headed to war, women rolled up their hair and sleeves and went to work. Women would spend hours and a ton of hair products to roll their hair into these voluminous shapes. Folding and rolling became a huge and practical beauty technique for women with long hair. It would keep their hair maintained during the day and allow them to let it loose during the night for glamorous waves. Nowadays, victory rolls are a favorite among vintage enthusiasts, pinup models, and Latina women, adding a touch of retro flair to any outfit. It's amazing how a hairstyle can carry so much history and still look fabulous today. In the early 2000s, icons like Gwen Stefani and Dita Von Teese revived victory rolls. And in the 2010s, celebrities such as Jada Pinkett Smith, Katy Perry, and Lady Gaga put their unique spin on the classic do. However, in 2024, this style doesn't appear much outside of a few scenes in the period film Escape from Germany. Now, let's talk about the Pompadour. This iconic hairstyle, named after Madame de Pompadour, became a symbol of elegance and sophistication. Adding vertical volume on top of the head by combing the hair back and up above the forehead is a trend that originated in the royal court of France. Jeanne Antoinette Poisson, Marquise de Pompadour, was the official chief mistress of King Louis XV from 1745 to 1751 and remained influential as a court favorite until her death. Although it is said to be named after Madame Pompadour, the style gained popularity long before and after the Marquise, first in the 1680s and again in the second half of the 18th century. In 1680, King Louis XIV loved the way his mistress, the Duchess of Fontaines, arranged her hair after she fell from her horse. She started wearing it like this every day to please him, and she created a new hairstyle that lasted for 20 years. The style was revived again in the 1890s as part of the Gibson girl look and continued to be in vogue until World War I. The men's version appeared in the 1950s and early 1960s. The pompadour is often associated with rock and roll legends and iconic Hollywood stars such as Elvis Presley, Chuck Berry, and of course, James Dean. The pompadour has stood the test of time, evolving through the decades while maintaining its stylish flair. In my day, the singer Pink was the queen of the pompadour and has managed to keep this retro hairstyle relevant after all these years. When you think of the pompadour today, the ladies that inspire us are Alicia Keys, Janelle Monáe, and Ms. Riri Rihanna. For a completely different take on this 1950s hairdo, we African American women put our spin on it by creating the pompadour using braids. Think Ava DuVernay and Issa Rae. Moving on to the Beehive. This towering hairstyle, popularized in the 1960s, was a true statement of boldness and glamour. The Beehive is a hairstyle in which long hair is piled up in a conical shape on the top of the head, giving some resemblance to the shape of an actual beehive. It is also known as the B-52 due to its resemblance to the distinctive nose of the Boeing B-52 strategic bomber. With its sky-high volume and intricate structure, the Beehive became a favorite among fashion icons and celebrities. It was developed by Margaret Vincy Helt of Elmhurst, Illinois. Margaret won the National Coiffure Championship in 1954 before inventing her iconic hairdo. Despite inventing the hairstyle, Helt didn't name it. As a final touch to her design, she added a B-shaped hat pin. A reporter for the magazine Modern Beauty Shop, now Modern Salon, said, "It looks just like a beehive. Do you mind if we call it the Beehive?" Flash forward to the 80s, when one of my favorite bands, the B-52s, took their name from the vintage hairstyle that was worn by singers Cindy Wilson and the great Kate Pearson. The character Patsy Stone, on the British sitcom Absolutely Fabulous rocked her Beehive for most of the long-running series. Fun fact, I named my company AbFab Designs after the hilarious British show. And more notably, the singer Amy Winehouse made it her signature hairstyle during her all too short career. Did you see my video of her look? I'll put the link in the description box. Now back to the Beehive. The list of celebrities that have rocked this do over the years is incredible. From Jane Fonda and Audrey Hepburn to the Queen Bee herself, Beyoncé. Over the years, the Beehive has represented a sense of daring and confidence, capturing the spirit of an era that embraced change and individuality. The Shag haircut, oh, it's truly a style that shook up the hair world in the 1970s. With its choppy layers and feathered texture, it brought a rebellious edge to the mainstream. Being a child of the 70s, it was the first haircut I ever knew. Growing up in the suburbs of Maryland, all the white kids with their flowing hair were rocking the shag. The cut was created by a barber named Paul McGregor. However, I couldn't find out the exact year. The layers are feathered at the top and sides, making the hair full around the crown and then thin to fringes around the edges. Throughout its time, rock stars and everyday folks alike embraced this bold look. This unisex style became popular after being worn by various celebrities. In the early 1970s, David Cassidy was the model for the shag. However, it became mainstream when the greatest TV mom of the time, Florence Henderson, rocked her shag on the Brady Bunch. In the 80s, making the list again, Jane Fonda, with her exercise videos making the rounds to every woman in the US, this hairdo showed no signs of stopping. When I think of the shag, I think of Joan Jett, David Bowie, Mick Jagger, and Rod Stewart's legendary looks. In the 2020s, a variation of the shag called the wolf cut became popular. It differentiates itself by being shorter at the front like a mullet and often includes bangs. The wolf cut has been worn by celebrities like Billie Eilish, Camila Cabello, and Jenna Ortega. But the OG shag wasn't just a hairstyle, it was a true 1970s statement. Now comes my era, the era of big hair, the 1980s. Volume was everything. The end of the 1970s brought in the time of the punk, and mohawks were everywhere. Mousse, hairspray, and teasing combs became the tools of the hair trade. Remember Aquanet? The 1980s were a decade of excess and a time when bigger was definitely better. And yes, that included the hair. You can't talk about 1980s big hair without talking about the smash hit TV show Dynasty. Those wealthy oil babes had some seriously big hair. I mean, Joan Collins became the model for big 80s hair, but for me, it was all about the glam rock. Aerosmith, Mötley Crüe, Bon Jovi, and Dee Snider from Twisted Sister, to name a few. Taking inspiration from the punk kids, they added colors like bright blue, green, and pink. But the glam boys took it to new levels by adding crazy bandanas and feathers. By the late 1980s, the permed bouffant had become highly fashionable among women of all walks of life, most notably Princess Diana. Then came the John Hughes movie era. The Brat Pack dominated the theaters and churned out massive stars like Rob Lowe, Demi Moore, and, of course, Molly Ringwald. Tom Cruise and Robert Downey Jr. are also listed in this prestigious class of actors. From pop stars to me and my friends, everyone wanted to reach new heights with their hair. The 1980s were a decade of bold fashion and even bolder hairstyles. The 90s brought in a whole new era, the world began to rebel against the excesses of decades past. The days of overly coiffed and sky-high hair were officially over. In Seattle, a revival of the punk movement began to emerge, and we called it grunge. Punk is anti-fashion. It makes a statement, while grunge is about not making a statement, according to Wikipedia. Rock gods like Nirvana and Soundgarden became the poster boys of style. It was the time of the legendary Kurt Cobain, with his unkempt, long, greasy hair. Later in the decade, Fred Durst from Limp Bizkit made wearing a backward baseball hat the IT item of fashion. When Marc Jacobs did his grunge collection for Perry Ellis in 1993, it officially became mainstream. Once the fashion world adopted grunge style, it morphed into heroin chic. Yeah, that was a thing. We all aspired to look like model Kate Moss and musician Courtney Love, Kurt Cobain's wife. Women who looked like they partied a little too hard just before hitting the red carpet. However, there was a shining glimmer of hope in this all-too-bleak hair era. The 90s brought us an updated version of the Shag, and we called it the Rachel. Popularized by Jennifer Aniston's character on the hit TV show Friends. The Rachel was created by hairstylist Chris McMillan and colored by Michael Canale. McMillan was determined to convince Aniston, whose hair was very long and frizzy at the time, to attempt a different hairstyle that included a shorter length and highlights. McMillan drew inspiration from several sources, including male surfers from his Manhattan Beach hometown, model Barry Smithers' bob cut, and model Amber Valletta's blowouts by the famous hairstylist Garin. McMillan insists that he did not intentionally create the hairstyle for Aniston, admitting that he had also given a similar haircut to actress Cameron Diaz. This layered face-framing cut became an instant hit. Salons were flooded with requests for this chic and sophisticated style. Due to its television origins, several journalists have likened the Rachel to the popularity that actress Farrah Fawcett achieved with her iconic feathered hairstyle. At the beginning of 2020, the Rachel re-emerged at the forefront of fashion during Fall-Winter Fashion Month, 25 years after it debuted. Singer Selena Gomez wore a longer version of the Rachel, inspired by Aniston's layers and actress Goldie Hawn's curtain bangs. Even Kamala Harris has been rocking her version of the Rachel as vice president. Her version is updated for 2024 and ultra chic. I see a huge comeback of the Rachel soon. The Rachel defined the 1990s generation. It was versatile, flattering, and oh so trendy. Would you rock an updated version of the Rachel in 2024? Are you refreshing a retro hairstyle? Which one? Drop your answers in the comments section. And there you have it. A journey through some of the most iconic hairstyles of the past century. Each style tells a story, reflecting the culture and spirit of its time. Hairstyles are more than just fashion. They are a form of self-expression. So whether you're rocking a bob, a shag, or following Kamala's lead with an updated Rachel, remember, your hair is your canvas. Make it your own. I want to give a special shout out to Wikipedia for many of the facts in today's video. All references are listed in the description box. Thank you all so much for watching. Share this video with anyone you know who rocks an old school hairdo. For more fashion and beauty fun, hit the subscribe button and make sure to follow me on one of my social media sites. All links are on the homepage of my channel. And until next time, stay fashionable.